Yo, what's happening, Raider Nation? It's your boy Soto here. You know what it is. Raiders versus the world. Talked about the team that the world loves to hate, your Las Vegas Raiders. Well, it's getting warm. It's getting warm in here, okay? It may be fall and you're entering into winter, but the seats are getting hot. Breaking news today, the Raiders have signed veteran kicker Greg Joseph to the practice squad. And Vinny Balsignori tweeted, Daniel Carlson understands the message being sent with the Raiders signing of Greg Joseph. As Carlson told me today, the results need to come just like any other position. And I'm looking forward to doing that in the next 8 weeks. Now, Anthony Galaviz says before signing Greg Joseph for the practice squad, the Raiders also worked out kicker John Parker Romo and long snapper Taylor Pepper per NFL Wire. What does this mean? Well, the long snapper is usually one of the first guys down there. And if Bowenmeyer ain't getting the job done, if he's whiffing, if he's not redirecting or slowing down the returner, if he's not in right positions, if he's not breaking down properly, we need to find every single position needs to be looked at and needs to be evaluated for what is out there. That's if there's something out there better. Dale Carlson, he needs to look every single season for the last 5 years. Daniel Carlson's accuracy has been going down and his length of field goal has been going down. It happens to everybody, man. There's a reason why he's one of the only Raiders who was an Oakland Raider because he's been in the league a while. And you get older and, things just seem to happen to you. Your body doesn't respond the same. And as someone who's 48 years old and who's been fairly athletic my entire life, jumping up in the air is not a problem. The landing part, that's the problem. And the results are on the field. Daniel Carlson needs to be that guy that goes out there and is Mr. Automatic. He needs to be. He's one of the guys that is paid. He's one of the highest paid kickers in the league. Okay. On top of that, he has an offense that isn't very good. So when he's put in a position to score, he needs to convert. Now, is he going to be perfect? No, but he's been much less than that. And we need a lot more out of the kicking position than Daniel Carlson is giving us. Dude, dropping, kicks before the 20, giving a great field position to the defenses on kickoffs, missing field goals, stuff like that just can't happen. It just can't happen, plain and simple. And Daniel Carlson knows it. And I think he respects the fact that, you know what, I'm not performing and I need to get better. I need to perform better, plain and simple. And that's the motto of Pete Carroll's compete, right? Well, talked about the seat getting hot, man. Seat's getting hot for a lot of people, not just Daniel Carlson, but Gino Smith, Pete Carroll, and Chip Kelly. Look, man, things just aren't working. Things just aren't working offensively. I understand what Pete Carroll's trying to do, but he's to not be able to get Brock Bowers the ball more than one time. And that's because the guy that was defending him kind of slipped and he was wide open. But I understand that there's some issues in the offensive line, but you have to be able to take control of the coaching staff underneath you. Again, Brandon Carroll is an inexperienced offensive line coach, but he was an offensive coordinator in college, so you should be able to do that as a coach. What is the disconnect here? What is happening? What's not being properly communicated in this offense to make it so porous? This is the fourth time this year we've scored 10 or fewer points in a game. That is absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous to have that low of output. And it needs to change, man. Mike Florio on his show talked a little bit about what's happening with the Raiders, the involvement of Tom Brady moving forward, and who does Mark Davis listen to? Check this out.
For a guy who on the surface looks like he has very little self-awareness, he has extreme self-awareness as it relates to football. He knows he doesn't know a damn thing about it. He knows he needs someone to tell him what he should do. And I think Tom Brady's going to be the guy who goes and says to Mark Davis, we need this, we need that, we need this, we need that. And one of the things that Brady may say is, hey, we tried it with Pete. We need someone else. And I'm not
Right.
advocating. I'm just trying to read tea leaves here.
Yeah, I would say I think you're going down the right path. I would be surprised if Pete goes the one and done route with the Raiders, but I would not be surprised if Chip Kelly is a one and done with the Raiders. Did it strike you as odd last week? I mean, and you hear a lot of comments before games. Everybody praises one another. Whoever's playing this week, this opponent, our opponent is great. The Panthers play the Saints, and I'm sure Dave Canales was saying wonderful things about Kellen Moore. He's won one game, but they've got a great team, a great franchise. Mickey Loomis in the front office. They all praise each other before the game. That's just what happens in the NFL. But did it strike you as odd when Pete Carroll not only praised Jacksonville and Liam Cohen, he said he comes from the coaching tree that I respect the most. And he talked about Sean McVay and LaFleur and all these guys. Well, Chip Kelly does not come from that coaching tree. And so I thought it was interesting that he would talk about this, not only this opposing coach, but the coaching tree that he's from as his offense is struggling. Now, they didn't struggle last week. They did a good job most of the game. Brock Bowers has 3 touchdowns. They had some really explosive plays offensively. But the week before, they got shut out by Kansas City. So I wonder if Pete is looking at it and thinking, Tom Brady, in your travels, Tom, as a Fox analyst, have you tampered with any up and coming?
Oh, no. Have you seen? Hey, it's one of the
McVay disciples.
It's one of the benefits. It's one of the benefits of being down there on the field. We heard so much talk about production meetings and being in facility. No, it's being on the field before the game. There is incredible value, and you can talk to people about who's really making this thing go and what's really going on here. And yeah, that's an excellent observation. I hadn't thought of that Pete Carroll may have been taking a little bit of a passive-aggressive swipe at Chip Kelly, but it underscores my point that I feel like it's not sustainable between the two of them. And frankly, between the two, all due respect to Chip Kelly, I'm keeping Pete Carroll. Carroll.
Of course.
Because Pete Carroll has accomplished things in the NFL. Chip Kelly has accomplished nothing. Yeah, he took the Eagles to the playoffs that first year, but this revolutionary offense that he brought from Oregon didn't do jack diddly squat. And one of the big themes in the aftermath of his time with the Eagles was, and Jeffrey Lurie explained after he fired Chip Kelly, we're prioritizing emotional intelligence in our coaching process, which is basically saying Chip Kelly doesn't have any.
Well, pretty straightforward. And it's some of the things that we were talking about in yesterday's video. You're trying to fix this offense, right? And if you're Pete Carroll and you have your handpicked quarterback coming in, you're tied to this dude. You're not tied to Chip Kelly at all. So may you throw Chip Kelly under the bus to help save your job? Probably. And ultimately, I don't know how well they're communicating, because we've seen early in the year when they're like, we need to run the ball, we need to run the ball, we need to run the ball. And Chip Kelly's like, nah, I'm going to run the ball. I'm going to run the ball when I feel like it. And it's like, just everything is disjointed. It seems like the front office is not on the same page as Pete Carroll. And Pete Carroll is not on the same page as his defensive coordinator in Patrick Graham. And he's not on the same page as the offensive coordinator in Chip Kelly. Because as soon as we stopped seeing that cover 3 and we started seeing more of a Patrick Graham defense, the defense played much better. I don't think we can argue that. Okay. Now, what's going to happen with the offense? Look, I think the offense has a lot of culprits. Okay. A lot of culprits here. I think the first culprit is John Spytek and Pete Carroll for not bolstering this offensive line. Alex Kappa. Look, Alex Kappa was a depth piece. He was never supposed to be a starter. You paid him like one. And unfortunately for the Raiders, it's something that ends up coming back to bite him. You don't sign a guy like that if you're not comfortable with him starting a lot of games, because you don't know what's going to happen with injuries and stuff like that. It's the NFL. It happens all the time. Injury rate is 100%. So you're taking a guy in Alex Kappa, and it was a straight whiff. Now, I understand bringing a guy in that you with experience, because you have a lot of young guys and this and that, blah, 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 but still have to be able to play. They still have to be able to play. Now, I understand before last season, Alex Kappa was actually a pretty good guard. And last season, He had some injury issues and stuff like that, and he wasn't very good. Well, he's not very good now either. So if the the 2 third-round picks that you had and you spent on offensive line are not ready to play, that's a massive whiff in discovery, scouting, in drafting, and in development, the 3 Ds. Because you're taking these guys in the 3rd round. I mean, DJ Gledge was a 3rd-round pick, and he started right away, first game. So these guys, 3rd-round picks, should be contributors to your team. If they're not even dressing, that is a huge red flag, a massive red flag if these guys are not even dressing on game day. And the only reason they're dressing is because people are getting hurt. That's a huge problem. And if they can't beat out the likes of Alex Kappa and Will Putnam, huge mistake, huge issue, because Quinnen Williams is coming with the Cowboys. And Quinnen Williams is going to go up the middle, and he's going to feast on Kappa, Meredith, and Putnam. Big time. He's going to eat those dudes up. And it's a huge mistake that we're seeing here. So that's one part of the offense. Second part of the offense is on Pete Carroll, because he went and said, let's go get Gino Smith. I can win with Gino Smith. Great. You know for a fact. Hell, I've been saying it from the very beginning. Gino Smith can be successful if you can do 2 things. If you can keep his feet clean and if you can run the football. If you can do those 2 things, Gino Smith can be a very, very effective quarterback. Well, we're seeing right now what happens when you don't run the football and you don't protect them. It's the same thing that happened as last year with Seahawks. Before, when Pete Carroll was with the Seahawks, they had a better running game and they were able to protect them a little bit better. And he was much better. So we're seeing what happens when you don't have a world beater or a franchise quarterback in Geno Smith. He's not a guy that you can just hang your hat on and say, okay, go out there and win us this game. That's not who he is. And we've seen that several times. He needs some help. There's guys out there that can just do it on their own. But Geno Smith is not that guy. And I think we all knew that from the very beginning. Then you have Chip Kelly. Why is this offensive line not getting better? Now, I understand they were hurt, but even when they were there, I mean, they weren't lighting the world on fire. What's happening here? I understand Brendan Carroll is the offensive line coach and blah, 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 this and that, but who does the offensive line coach run through? Who does he report to? Well, who's the dotted line to? It's Chip. That's Chip. He needs to make sure that whatever he's got going on the offense is working. It's clicking. And what is our identity offense? We don't have an identity. Just go out there and just do it. Go out there and let me call a bunch of plays. The play calls that he has a lot of times don't have a lot of continuity to them. He's just calling a bunch of different types of plays. So I don't think Spytek's going anywhere, because I think both Tom Brady's, former teammate at Michigan, they had that tie with Tampa. He's not going anywhere. And I also think that Mark Davis likes him. I don't think Pete's going anywhere, because I think they genuinely like Pete Carroll and think that he's good, calming influence for the team. Chip Kelly's the guy that's got to go. But if you're going to do that, you're going to have to do something with the offensive line. Dylan Parham, Jordan Meredith, yeah, I like them. That's great. But you know what? This whole Jordan Meredith fiasco was a Chip Kelly call. That's a Chip Kelly call. So, look, man, a lot of things are happening right now. A lot of things are floating around, and we're taking a look at what's going wrong and how it can get fixed. It's tough, man, because when you don't have your quarterback set up to succeed, it's going to be difficult no matter who the quarterback is. Now, that degree of difficulty is going to change and adjust, depending on who the quarterback is. But we all knew from the very beginning, Geno Smith is not a guy you just throw in the shotgun and let him throw the ball around the field. That's not who he is. Rich Eisen talked a little bit about that and the Raiders and Pete Carroll. Let's hear what he had to say.
Well, I think the issue is, again, Ben, it's a quarterback-driven league, and it's a team effort as well. There was a brutal moment last night where Gino took a sack, and you could see he was barking at Raheem Mostert, who totally whiffed on the pass protection, and it didn't look good for Gino. The interception that Gino threw to give him now 12 on the season. That is the most in the National Football League, and you go online and you see on Threads, at least I did, that Hayes now leads the league in interceptions. The ball went right off Ashton Genty's hands. That's not on Gino's ledger either. That said, it's clear that the plan coming in to calm the waters of who's the quarterback here, and they didn't go and get one in the draft. They didn't go and get Jackson Dart because it was too high maybe to take him, or they didn't come back into the first round to get Jackson Dart if that's who they wanted. And there was a lot of rumors about Shador, who still hasn't started a game yet, and the Browns keep on sinking, and it looks like they're still not going to him. That eventually, at the end of the day, the Gino Smith acquisition that seemed smart and seemed like you now have a veteran hand here that's not going to turn the ball over, that's going to play the game exactly the way that Pete wants it, since he did so for Pete in Seattle as a comeback player of the year. That guy hasn't shown up, Ben. And at the end of the day, it didn't help that Brock Bowers was out between weeks 2 and 9. And it did not help that defensively, there's not much else there, at least weeks 1 through 9 until week 10 showed up to help Max Crosby. And it still is, in my estimation, I am biased when it comes to Pete. I love the guy, and he hasn't forgotten how to coach or motivate. Last night, I saw a team that hadn't backed up a U-Haul at all. I didn't see it. As a matter of fact, they balled out. And at the end of the day, they just could not protect Geno Smith. And that's something that any team is going to look like garbage if you can't protect a quarterback who also has trouble protecting the football himself.
That's the long and short of it. That's the long and short of it right there, is nothing can be done effectively long-term if you can't protect the quarterback. So who does that fall on? It depends on who you ask. It depends on who you believe. I think regardless of the dynamic behind the scenes, you're responsible for your title, for your job duties. If you're the GM and you let, or you're in a situation that the head coach has a little bit more sway over personnel that you might like, or that a normal GM would have, then you're just going to have to live with that. It is what it is. It's kind of like the whole Mike Mayock thing. It's like, it is what it is, man. And even though I'm the GM, but, Gruden wants to be the guy who selects guys in the first round. You just got to live with it. It is what it is, man. So it falls at the feet of John Spytek. He needs to make sure that he's making the right decisions. And we need to make sure that we are building this team in a singular direction. I think we're very just scattered right now. And in the offseason, Brady's going to come in and he's going to be like, look, we need to figure something out what we're doing. These are the main issues, because right now, here are the main issues. The main issues are defensively, we were playing a scheme that was not fitting to the personnel that we had. The scheme that Patrick Graham had for us against the Broncos is more fitting to the defense that we have. Okay. I said it in the offseason. The types of corners that we're bringing, the types of secondary that we're bringing in is a physical, in-your-face style. If you're going to want to put a lot of pressure on the quarterback, which we did on Bo Nix, you don't just give him soft throwing lanes to throw to. What you do is you come up and you play a lot of heavy man, and you don't give a lot of cushion, right? And you use the speed and your length to be able to hit the passing lanes. That's what I said from the very beginning, and we weren't doing that. We're playing that soft zone, that soft shell zone behind everything. So even if you were giving the quarterback a lot of pressure, he had easy throws, and then we weren't running up and tackling well, and that just blew up in our face. So this Patrick Graham defense is now, okay, we're starting to fix that a little bit. We're figuring out who we are defensively, okay? Okay, fine. Offensively, what are we doing here? Well, what are the main issues? Well, our running back that we got number 6 overall is not being given the opportunity to succeed because he's not being blocked for very well, and he's not being given the ball very much. Okay, there's that. Then you have your quarterback who's throwing a lot of interceptions and who's under pressure quite a bit. Okay, that's the same fix for both issues, is upgrade your offensive line. I don't care who you drafted where. If you can upgrade the offensive line, you do it. Plain and simple. I don't care if it's Kappa, I don't care if it's Meredith or Parham or JPJ or DJ. I don't care who it is. If it's an upgrade, you go with it. You're not going to upgrade from Colton Miller at left tackle. He's one of the best left tackles out there. But if you could find a better guy to replace one of these other guys, maybe you shuffle JPJ around if you find a right guard out there. But ultimately, you just got to get better. On top of that, your offensive play caller is a little bit disjointed from how you want to play football. Throwing the ball way too much. You're putting Gino out there to be exposed when you're just having him hang out there in the shotgun and whip the ball around. Gino says, yeah, I think I have a lot of strengths. No, dude, you don't. Your strength is under center, play action, quick passes, draw the defense in, and throw the ball deep to it selectively. That's your strength. That's what you can do. You're not that guy. You may want to tell people at high school events that you're that guy, but that's not who you are. You're not that guy who's going to whip the ball around the field. Let's just be honest. That's not you. Okay? And I'm not coming down on you because you're better at football with two arms tied behind your back than I am. As far as the lay person goes, this person on the street, you're way better than I am. But as far as you compared to other people in the NFL, that's not you, player. That's just not you. And the hot seat is there. Everybody that I named is on the hot seat. Pete Carroll's on the hot seat. Chip Kelly's on the hot seat. Daniel Carlson is on the hot seat. And Gino Smith is on the hot seat. The seat is getting nice and hot for these guys. And you know how you cool that seat off? You produce. You perform. Production over traits. You can have all the traits in the world. You can have all the intangibles in the world. I don't like intangibles. I like tangibles. I like guys who can throw the ball, who are accurate, who complete passes, who score touchdowns, who put up points. That's what I like in my quarterback. You can be a great leader and blah, 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 and this and that, but guess what? Guess what's the cologne that covers up any stink in the NFL is winning. So miss me with the intangibles, okay? I don't want to hear about intangibles anymore. I want to hear about tangibles. I want to hear about stuff that I can put on a stat sheet, put up some points, okay? You guys can do that, and that seats will cool down. And if you don't do that, your seats are continuing to get hotter. All right, guys, that's my time for today. Really appreciate you guys watching. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to this video. It's the next way to support the channel. It's absolutely free. Also, we have the Shield site. It's $5 a month. It's a membership. I appreciate it. If you can do it, I want to do it. Great. I would appreciate it. If not, or if you don't want to, that's fine too. I'm still giving you a video every single day. All that, and all I ask for you is to tell your friends, tell your haters, tell your mamas, tell everybody Raiders versus the world is the greatest thing going in Raider Nation today. All right, guys, that's my time. Tonight's some everybody. Peace. Hey, Raider Nation, thanks for watching. There's plenty more where that came from. Go ahead and smash that like button, drop a comment, make sure to subscribe and share to all your socials. It's the bare minimum you can do without doing absolutely nothing.